Now, it's been 17 days since human rights lawyer Dele Farotimi was picked up from his Lagos office and transported to Ekiti State, where he is now expected to be tried for alleged defamation. Now, a case filed by the Nigerian police on behalf of veteran legal practitioner Afe Babalola. Medicals have been made by several individuals and bodies for Farotimi's release, but to no avail. Many worry that Dele Farotimi may be in detention by Christmas or even beyond. His continued detention has been tagged as breach of right to bail. The argument continues as to whether this is a criminal case, but Nigerians in some quarters of the world continue to watch as the case unfolds. We have joining us now to discuss this public affairs analyst Charles Oludare Marindoti joins us this morning. I know you've been following this story from where you are very closely. Just like we said, it's been 17 days. In order not to preempt the court and also to talk about this situation, you would agree with me that every Nigerian has a different view of what's really happening. Can you share with us what your views are looking at today, which happens to be a day where we would know what will, happen at the end of the day for Farotimi as well?
Personally, I don't know if there's anybody in Nigeria that I personally don't like more than Dele Farotimi. As a person, I watch his interviews, I can't even stand him talk. Compared to, a legal luminary like Afe Babalola, who, has a university, has a hospital, has done a lot of good things, is a nice 5-year-old, great-grandfather. But one thing that I don't like more than a lawyer that I don't like and that I respect less than a legal luminary that I, really respect is a bully. I don't like bullies at all because I feel like what is happening to Dele Farotimi is essentially him being bullied. And this is not something unique to, maybe Afe Babalola or anybody. Something that happened even in popular culture, in the case of Burna Boy versus Darlington or Davido versus Damicrane, where the opinion or the emotions of one person is enough to jail another person. It is wrong. And I'm going to repeat this thing a lot during this interview, that I don't like that. I don't like him as a person. But that does not mean that his rights should be infringed upon. He wrote a book, and guess what? A man that I said I can barely stand, I bought the book, and I have bought a few of it for friends and everybody who cares to to listen, because this shows that there is a bit of credence. What he is going through right now shows that there is a bit of credence in whatever he is alleging, because a man wrote a book about a corrupt legal system, and that same legal system is being weaponized to keep him behind bars. For what? I read the book. He even said in the book that in 2016, he was the first person to sue Afe Babalola for libel. And Afe Babalola was put to jail that time. Now, this time when Afe Babalola is suing him for libel, he is being put to jail. For what? For writing a book? I don't get it. The criminal libel law, whether it's even valid in Ekiti State, is something that is debatable. But think about it. Someone was arrested in Lagos. They didn't charge him in Lagos. They didn't charge him in Ibadan, Osun, Ondo. They went all the way to Ekiti State to charge him. There's something called selective justice, but it's also something called selecting justice. And I think it's more of the latter than even the former, or even though it's a combination of both, because there is nothing this man has done that should warrant him being incarcerated right now. You have charged him. He has a right to defend himself.
All right, Dustin, but there is a network challenge of some sort. Let's hope that we can reconnect with him and continue the conversation shortly. But I like the fact that he's expressed his thoughts in the sense of someone who is, quote unquote, taking out sentiment. He's first said he doesn't like Dele Farotimi for anything, but that regardless of the fact that he doesn't like Dele Farotimi, he also doesn't like bullying. It's really interesting to find out why he doesn't like Dele Farotimi. Maybe I'll ask him that on a much lighter note.
But he also said that whenever he speaks, he likes to listen to what he says.
No. He said he doesn't like it.
He doesn't like it?
He said, I've listened to his podcast, I've listened to his interviews, I don't like him for anything. However, what I don't like much more than I don't like him is I don't like bullying, something in that line. But it would be great to find out what it is. Now, the Dele Farotimi case picked up steam right from the moment he was being arrested. Several public figures noteworthy of what you have mentioned, several public figures, and even everyday Nigerians lent their voice to asking that Dele Farotimi be released. They cried foul, saying that the learned SAN was in this case bullying Dele Farotimi and playing out the allegations that were written about in the book, talking about the corruption of Nigeria's criminal justice system and the role of the judiciary. If you recall, this case started many years ago. It was a case, involving the Eletu farmland, and the judgment had been delivered, apportioning certain amounts of land, I think 254 acres, I'm not quite sure which one. But then at some point they came back when it was time for enforcement, they came back and said there was a mistake and that it was 10. And the question was, how do you make a mistake to say 254 and then come back to say that, oh, it was a mistake, it was a clinical error, that it should be 10. So there's just a lot of back and forth, about this whole scenario. And Dele Farotimi had been clear right from the jump about knowing his stance to be the truth, according to him, and saying he's not afraid of litigation, and that the worst that he can do is take him to court, and that he will meet them in court. But and the majority of Nigerians were not concerned about the fact that he was taken to court. It's the manner, like you can see in the video, the bandit-like manner in which he was carted out of Lagos and taken to Ekiti to be arraigned in Ekiti. And then the issue that came up was, where was the crime committed? Where was the book, the defamatory material published? The defamatory material in this case was published in Lagos. All right, we have Marindoti back. Please go ahead with your statement. You were speaking about, out of curiosity, what is it about Dele Farotimi that, that you do not like?
Personally, maybe because we share opposing political views, maybe because he gets so assertive when he's criticizing something. I feel like, sometimes I might have an opinion, but I should be aware that sometimes I might be wrong, right? He's so assertive about everything. He calls people names and stuff like that. I don't like it. I feel like, it could be a little bit more nuanced in his conversations, but so that is the reason why I don't pay attention to him. But guess what? I bought his book right now because it is just basic human decency. And, like we were saying, there was a case of libel that occurred, in Nigeria ago, where a guy called very blockhead, what I call him, libeled senior advocate of Nigeria, Afe Babalola. And what did that man do? That man is a decent man. He took him to court for civil libel, and he got a judgment in his own favor. That is the remedy for civil libel. And when I even read this book, I don't see anything in that book that was, libelous in my own opinion, because he used words like corrupted. He never said somebody paid bribe. Anything can corrupt anything. If your father is seated on your case, that does not mean you are going to give your father money and for him to find in your favor. And that can be a form of corruption. People get kidnapped. Like when they kidnapped people in Joyala, they were trying to corrupt a decision. That is not bribery. It's a different thing. So, and the issue of criminal libel is a way whereby powerful people have been able to subdue the powerless. And I feel like personally, I find it a little bit sad and disheartening that some members of the media have sympathy for, the aggressor, in my opinion, in this case, because what they fail to realize is that these same laws can be used against them. And that is what we can't allow. We cannot have a system whereby might means right, because we can't be almighty. Some of us are going to be the little ones, and the little ones should have a right to live in peace. Here, a man wrote a book based on his own point of view. If you have anything about it, the civil avenue, they have always been there. And what about the manner of taking him from Lagos to Ekiti, the hometown of this legal luminary? And now the man is being denied bail after a federal judge granted him bail. A magistrate court judge, kept him there. Now they are going to have this case today, and they might just still adjourn for whatever reason, which kind of give credence to what Dele Farotimi said in his book, that when he sued Afe Babalola for libel, they never didn't let the case get to the court. It was thrown out by a particular judge who was the chairman in his own wedding, who probably should have recused himself based on the fact that she was the first person to employ him as a lawyer and she was the chairman in his own wedding.
Okay, I'm actually glad.
She believed there was a connivance there.
Yes, and I remember that particular story where he talked about the particular judge not being in his favor, even though she was the chairman at his wedding, and he felt like the case was deliberately assigned to her to frustrate him rather. But let's talk about your thoughts. He explained a lot of things in that book. He talked about the criminal justice system. Do you share similar sentiment about the rot in Nigeria's criminal justice system? All right. Quite a struggle having a conversation this morning, but we'll keep trying to, finalize that conversation so that we can move on to other things. Yes, welcome back. Do you share same sentiment about the rot in Nigeria's criminal justice system?
Yes, so personally, I also have a certain type of perspective about the Nigerian criminal justice system, because I feel it is, it's corrupted. When Emefiele decided to change the currency, I took CBN to court, and to my dismay, I only asked the judge to, explain a particular part of the CBN Act. But hello, are you still with me?
Yes, we are. Go ahead.
Anyway, well, I think at this juncture we'll try as much as possible.
Yes, we are.
Go ahead, please.
Okay, yes. So I was just talking about the fact that I took CBN to court to ask the judge to, explain the particular line in the CBN Act, and at the end of the case, the judge decided not to, just give an interpretation to an act that Nigerians will still be able to redeem their money, that they don't lose their money, that their money does not become useless in their hand. And a judge could not even interpret that simple part of the law. I felt it was kind of like happening, and that is something that makes me feel like there might be a fear of repercussion or something that makes a lot of people a lot of judges not to be bold enough to follow their arts. And that does not have to mean that somebody is giving anybody money. It just means it's corrupt. The situation of the system, the judges are also Nigerians. They have to pay for electricity and all of that. So we have to understand that these things are, a little bit clumsy, and it might take us a long period before we can, remedy the mess that is our judicial system. But what Dele Farotimi has written and what he is going through right now, they all fall in line with the fact that it is justice for me, not for thee. The treatment in our judicial system does not feel equal. It is the judicial system. A lot of people say Babangida and not the June 12 election, but it was the judiciary that was used. It was the judge that actually annulled the election. So when we look at the basic fact of this case, it shows something that leaves much to be desired, and we need to keep on working on it. I think a book like this should be extolled and even praised for his own perspective, and there should be more intellectual conversations about how to improve our judicial system, as opposed to him now being vilified. I think it is wrong. This man is a family man that deserves to be with his wife and children.
All right, that's part one to the question. The second part of the question is, if you say and you agree that Nigeria's criminal justice system is, flawed, highly flawed, and they've been accused of abusing human rights or not upholding human rights in cases where they should have, would you say that the current administration has made it better or worse?
Anyway, I think we seem to struggle with the network connectivity here in this conversation. We look forward to bring this conversation back. But don't forget that Mr. Dele Farotimi would be back in the courts today. Today marks December 20. That's when he's supposed to return. And we'll keep you updated and let you know what the updates are. Hopefully, we should be having our correspondent join us live from there. And we'll be looking at what the situation would be. Many have said that he's going to regain his freedom today, despite the fact that it seems inappropriate to have ensured that he is locked up in prison with handcuffs. If you recall, when Nigerians had said that he's being held, detained in handcuffs, especially the first day in that picture image that you see, The second time he appeared in court, they no longer used the handcuffs on him because the comparison was indeed loud, where they compared his situation and that of a governor who was also allegedly said to have, stolen funds from the government coffers. Well, we'll give you more updates on Dele Farotimi's case, but a lot is happening on social media. You might want to follow us on socials. You would see some of the latest tweets and the latest updates concerning that story. So keep tabs with it as we build up to when he would indeed appear in court.